This week was filled with a lot of sentencing decisions in Saskatoon courtrooms. Starting on Wednesday, a 15-year-old boy was sentenced in connection with the death of Saskatoon man Dylan Phillips. Now, according to an agreed statement of facts presented in court, Phillips was shot and beaten with fence boards by 3 people who came to his Mayfair neighborhood home last October. Now, his parents were actually home at the time, and they were also attacked when they tried to stop the violence. Court heard that these 3 attackers were all gang members who had been sent on a mission to rob Phillips, who they were told was selling marijuana. But there's no indication that the attackers knew Phillips or that Phillips was ever involved in any gangs himself. All 3 of so the teen and 2 adults were charged with first-degree murder, but the teen pleaded guilty to the lesser offense of manslaughter. And he received the maximum youth sentence for manslaughter, which is 3 years. He'll spend 2 of those years in secure custody and 1 of those years under community supervision. Court heard the 15-year-old boy was actually under a different community supervision order at the time of the deadly attack. A Saskatoon drug trafficker who brought kilograms of meth and cocaine from Edmonton into Saskatchewan was also sentenced this week. Anita Lynn Favreau received a 6.5-year prison term. The Crown had asked for 8 years. The defense had argued for 3.5. Favreau sold drugs at the ounce level to mid-level dealers and had a pretty sophisticated hierarchy of drug runners and enforcers working for her. Now, police had been watching Favreau since about April 2015, but she wasn't arrested until she was the target of a drug robbery about 6 months later, when 5 men invaded her home on Garrison Crescent. One of them was actually shot and killed. Justice Gerald Albright said when balancing his sentencing decision, he took into consideration the fact that Favreau was a high-level trafficker and sold hard drugs that are a deadly scourge on society, but also the fact that she had been severely addicted to those drugs for most of her life. And this week, the highest sentence in Saskatchewan for child internet sex crimes was handed down in Saskatoon. Philip Michael Chicoine was sentenced to 12 years in prison on 40 different charges. They include luring children into making child pornography, making his own child pornography, and arranging to commit sexual offenses against children. Now, while Chicoine never actually touched a child himself, he directed women in the Philippines and Romania to sexually abuse their own children and live stream it over the internet so that he could watch. He then created his own child pornography and shared it with others. Court heard Chicoine spent approximately $23,000 to watch the sexual abuse of about 18 kids. Some were younger than 1 year old. Now, before this sentence, the longest child porn sentence in Saskatchewan was 8 years. As always, you can read more detailed accounts of these stories at thestarphoenix.com.